You're welcome back. It's the AM show, and today we are live from the Accra International Conference Center as the nation stands by the family of the late former Vice President to say goodbye to him. Let's go straight over where Mamavi and Roland are ready to bring us the rest of the show.
We know that the former Vice President Kwesi Bekwing Mesa Arthur is being laid in state today, and the final funeral rites will be tomorrow. We'll say goodbye to him. We'll be trying to remember the man that we've lost, the man who is being laid in state today here at the Accra International Conference Center. There will be more conversations about him in a bit. But let's say good morning to Roland and to you, Joseph Akable. Let's do the newspapers, guys.
Good morning. How are you? I've been on air already. You haven't.
Oh, yes.
So I should be saying good morning to you.
Okay, so say good morning to us.
Good morning.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Yeah, let's do the newspapers. We'll begin with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic today. Government must target those in need of free SHS. That's a call by Kwesi Adai Odike, and the conversation about the free SHS, the double track is still very much alive, and it's almost like sinking very much now. So people are beginning to talk about it and to also ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
We're asking a lot of questions that we're not getting answers to all the questions that we are asking, Roland.
Yeah. And yesterday, there was a tweet. There was a tweet by Gabi Ochredakon, who said that everybody who deserves to have free schooling at the second cycle school level will have that schooling, and it's non-negotiable. And so that was in contrast to what the finance minister said on a sister TV station the other day or the other evening, and just also juxtaposing that with what other comments have been coming through, especially on social media, even though we're told that we shouldn't be taking comments on social media. But when you have certain personalities make those comments, then they become very important. A former minister, and also who has been a secretary before under the PNDC, did a transition into the Fourth Republic. JoyNews also put a post.
I'm trying to pull up what he said.
And he said he was president of Adisada Old Boys Association. Is it Adisada, I believe?
Let me read exactly what he posted.
If you can.
So here's Kojo Yanka on Facebook. Kojo Yanka says, double track education at SSS level on my mind. As an educationist and also as president of Adisada Old Boys Association, very much in touch with real challenges on campus, I'm convinced that government needs to do more consulting before embarking on the proposed double track system. Some years back, we spent 7 years on campus. Then came SSS, which gives students 3 years on campus. Ghana has not recovered from the deficits in quality. Now, the new system means 6 months in school, 6 months on vacation, with a question mark. We need to tread cautiously. The finance minister is reported to have said elsewhere that the program should have been targeted, in quotes, which defeats the universal free SHS proposal. Can we all have a national principle debate devoid of insults? But wait a minute, September is around the corner for the children to go to school.
I agree. I mean, the bit about calling for a national debate. What I've been just thinking this morning about the numbers that we are told, there are about 127,000 gap, that for which reason we are bringing a double track system. I find it a bit strange because just last year, you recall when some headmasters were turning away students, government said there were spaces available because of the Form 3 students who had left. And even before that, you had a double stream of students who completed the same year, all leaving. So government actually addressed a news conference. I recall the Minister of State in charge of Education, then Professor Kwesi Yanka, addressed a news conference where they talked about the spaces in those schools and even sanctioned some headmasters. Now, 1 year on, we know that 1 year group has moved out. So these figures, we need to know that they are just projections. They are assumptions that we expect that if all the people indeed show up, then those are the numbers that will be seen. So we think that government needs to engage a bit more and give the stakeholders additional information as to how exactly it will be rolled out. More importantly, the curriculum they will be using.
Yeah, well, you're still watching the AM show. We're coming to you live from the Accra International Conference Center. It's a ceremony laying in state of the late Vice President of our Republic, Papa Kusemi Sir Arthur. Now the body is being taken from the State House, will cross the road over into the premises of the Accra International Conference Center. You can see that in pictures right now, and please, you can also watch us live on our Facebook page, JoyNews on TV. You can also watch us live through My Joy Online TV, which is our regular channel on YouTube. Please let us know what you think about the man himself. We know that we've had a lot of messages of condolences over the period since his passing, and we know we also were one of the foremost media houses that broke the news to you that early morning when it happened the Friday morning when he went into a gym, the Air Force officers' gym, we're told, and then subsequently we're told that he was just conveyed to the 37 military hospital. Subsequently, we now have the funeral service. Tomorrow will be the funeral service in itself, but today is a file passed, and the body is now making entry into the premises of the Accra International Conference Center. And please make sure that you catch us live on the relevant platforms as well. And we will make sure that we bring you all the live pictures at the Accra International Conference Center where the event is taking place. We have various personnel from the security services, notably the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Police Service, who have been deployed or detoured around here to make sure that they keep security in check. They make sure that the visitors, some of whom could be coming from elsewhere in the sub-region for today's event as well as tomorrow's, when subsequently we have the burial taking place, we'll also make sure that they are ushered rightly into the seats where they have been designated. And we know that we expect various dignitaries, former government officials, present government officials, and we have the Ghana Armed Forces doing the honors, the body of the former Vice President of our Republic, Papa Kusemi Sir Arthur, being driven into the premises of the Accra International Conference Center. The body will be laid in state through the foyer at the Accra International Conference Center. That's most notably. And Mama V, this is where we are.
This is where we are. You can come by anytime today and pay your last respects. But a bit about Pa Kwesi Bekwenge Mr. Arthur, who was born 29 April 1951 to 29 June 2018. That's when he died. A Ghanaian economist, academic, and politician who was the 5th Vice President of Ghana's 4th Republic in office from 6 August 2012 until January 7, 2017, under President John Dramani Mahama. Previously, he was Governor of the Bank of Ghana from 2009 to 2012. He was sworn in as Vice to deal with the large number of students who would turn out from junior high schools to senior high schools. He was addressing a debate of the chiefs and the people of Wa yesterday as part of his 2-day visit to the Upper West region, which also rounded off his 7-day tour of the 3 regions of the North. President Akufo-Addo said because of the large number of students likely to be admitted to SHS, there was high propensity for the schools to have large class sizes. But we've been doing the analysis, at least with the help of the chat provided by Dr. Prince Ama yesterday in the studio. We tried to make sense of how the system was going to work. And at some point, I think we're all convinced that at some point we'll still have large numbers of students in school at the same time.
Will be in school at the same between time. March and May.
Yeah,
all of them will be. And especially when you get to know that we're going to have a 3-year system in which we have track 1, track A, track B. Then we have another track A, track B, another track A, track B for first year, second year, third year. Then it means that it defeats the purpose for which within that period we want to make sure we have spaced class sizes. More so, we don't want to populate the classes, and then we want to have quality.
But let's
well, so now we have the Paul Berets, and we should know they are officers of the Ghana Armed Forces. They're followed by the officers from the Ghana Air Force holding the wreath as well, and they're making entry into the foyer, we should say, more appropriately, of the Accra International Conference Center. It is where he will be laid in state, and when he lies in state, we're going to have a foul past. And through this medium, we can also complement efforts of the State Protocol Department, the presidency, as well as the family of the former vice president, to say it is for the public as well. So everybody can come through here throughout the period when the body will be lying in state, to also file past respectfully for the late vice president of our republic, Papa Kwesi Mr. Arthur. Already you can see the guard of honor mounted by officers of the Ghana Armed Forces, and due protocol has been followed by the State Protocol Department, because we know we're honoring a former vice president of our republic. And as always, please make sure that you can pass through this event. It's at the Accra International Conference Center. It's the laying ceremony of the former vice president of our republic who passed on. And you can, as always, pass through. But please, just in case you're watching us not within the Accra International Conference Center area and you want to contribute, please make sure that you do so through our regular social media platforms, Facebook, JoyNews on TV. You can also watch us live, Major Online TV, which is regularly our YouTube channel. And I'm sure the former vice president would have had a word or two about the current impasse or wranglings about senior high school, etc. But as you can see, the guard of honor. We know the former vice president, Papa Kwesi Mr. Arthur, was also a research assistant at ISE. Many of us know ISE as the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, and that was between 1974 and 1975. Then he later joined the Economic Department of the University of Ghana, really. Also became Assistant Secretary, or Deputy Secretary, so to speak, for the Finance Ministry at the time, under the PNDC.
I mean, coming here for this occasion brings some memories, because I had an exclusive interview with the late Vice President, and that's happened right here at the conference center, at the VIP section. He had come for a program. It was a Bible program. He had left office. He was just about leaving. So together with my cameraman, we pitched camp at the VIP section at the other wing. And we waited for him. Just when he was exiting, I approached him and told him I wanted to speak to him. He was a bit reluctant, but he later agreed and said we wanted us to speak about the issues that had happened there. But we moved beyond that to talk about the possibilities of whether he may make a return to politics, as you've seen it. And I asked him many times, he kept saying that, I mean, he doesn't know, he has not decided. He's still watching and he will decide what to do. And I mean, clearly he didn't have the opportunity.
Kwesi Misarthur, born April 29, 1951, was an economist, academic and politician who was the 6th Vice President of Ghana, in office from August 6th.
Pass through our mini studio that we've set up here at the Accra International Conference Center to tell us a lot more about the man that we've lost, who is being laid in state today. It opens 8 a.m., I think 8 a.m. to a bit later in the day. You can pass through if you want, if you so wish, so you can pay your last respects before the final burial service, which will be held tomorrow. They will use both the State House and the Accra International Conference Center to accommodate all the persons who want to pass through. But we were talking about the free SHS. We still want to continue. I was just sharing how the president is justifying this double intake. But, you know, we also do appreciate, at least from what we've seen, unless something changes. And we're also talking about the fact that apparently not all the schools will be doing this double intake.
Yesterday, as at 24 hours ago when we were having the review with Kojo Yankson and everybody, that was not part of the narrative.
No.
So it means that perhaps we should expect more decisions, or perhaps more tweaking of how we want the structure of the double tracking system.
I think is too sudden. Let's backtrack ourselves.
So it will mean that let's say people from let's say students from first class, second cycle schools will be having a double tracking system, whilst those that perhaps maybe are less endowed and have their rooms, etc., will be having the normal.
This is also confusing.
It may actually be the other way around, because those schools are likely, when the 4-year program was introduced, those schools actually saw expansion compared to the less endowed schools. At least for a number of schools that I have seen personally and those I have been to.
Which schools?
I'm talking about the first class schools, the St. Augustine's, the Adisadels. They had expansion, their PTA stepped in to assist them compared to the less endowed schools.
Adequate accommodation.
Yes, so if there will be the possibility of double track, I think it's likely to happen in the less endowed schools who may not have the spaces. You think it's the other way around?
No. I think that it will be for the first class and second class schools, because they usually get overwhelmed with the numbers.
Great, that is a fair projection to make. But the president's argument in supporting it is that, I mean, he thinks that in terms of the contact hours, that it will be increased, and secondly, the smaller class size, the teachers engaging the students more. He thinks that the best assessment of the double track, if it goes ahead, will be the results that will be coming out in the WASI. And I mean, we know that as it stands, no FSC student has taken the exam yet, even though we must admit that at least since 2012 our results has been on a decline. So obviously we'll be waiting for the first exam results to do that comparison to the past ones to see whether it's actually worth it. But I mean, more important, I think it is better they should come out with a policy document. What we have is not a policy document. It was a presentation that the Education Minister did at the GES Council. We're asking for a policy document that breaks down everything in simple terms. The term, from which period to which period, which date to which date, specifics, how long the TS has supposed to
Does it even exist?
That's what we are calling for.
Well, it's a question that think tanks like Imani and other social commentators have been asking for. They say if the document is available, make it available to the public or those who need to.
Because just yesterday we are hearing it may not be all schools. So the policy document will tell us which schools.
I'm not sure we exactly know what we are doing. That's what worries me. Let's go to the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Deployments of sanitation brigade begins next month. What's that? A nationwide deployment of sanitation brigade is to begin in August this year, with an initial 11,000 of them going to 22 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. So the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, Joseph Ada, who made this known in Accra, did not mention the beneficiary MMDAs. You can read on, it's on the back page of the Daily Graphic. There you have it, newspaper. Also, GC Nets presents laptops to Finance Ministry. And that will be it. There are other stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper that you can check out. But that's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper.
We can do the Daily Guide now. At the front page of the Daily Guide, it says, Upper West Chiefs hail Nana. There is a photograph of President Akufo-Addo as he toured the Upper East region. The other story is Mahama cries over salary after pocketing 568,000 cedis. There's a photograph of the former president, John Dramani Mahama, and NDC abandons mills at Asumdue Park, also being reported by the Daily Guide. I'm not too sure which of these stories to touch on, Mamavi. Any suggestions? You want to do Mahama, the president story? Or?
Absolutely. We want to do Mahama cries over salary.
Well,
I don't know what's that.
It's about, we're told that there's been comprehensive commentary by the aide to the former president, that's Joyce Bawa Muktari, who said that the numbers that were presented, I think about a number of staffers for the former president have not been paid since he left office. And then on social media yesterday, we had a gentleman who works with the Communication Bureau of the Presidency, Samuel Brian Boabing, come to publish, I think, a chart. Okay. Some kind of payment.
Conversation?
No, some kind of payment.
Evidence of payments to the staff.
Yes.
So Daily Guide actually
but since then, that comment has been pulled down. That aspect.
Pulled down. Well, it has made its way into the Daily Guide, and that part of the story here says it's under special age. It says the documents reveal that approval was given to pay all the 6 staff at the office of the former president. Interestingly, the 6 staff are taking home an annual salary of a whopping 688,488 cedis at the end of every year. The breakdown of the figures indicates that Joyce Bawa Muktari, who has been designated as a special assistant, is taking home a quarterly salary of 56,511 cedis and an annual salary 56,511 cedis. That is a quarterly salary.
Okay.
And an annual salary of 226,044 cedis. So 226044, and which is we are told that it's more than the salary she took as a deputy minister of transport. I'm reading from the Daily Guide. It goes on to say another special assistant, Fidel Amachi Owusu, is also taking home quarterly and annual salary similar to that of Miss Mokhtari. It goes on to name other individuals. There's one.
I think I saw Wisdom Ewuku.
Wisdom Peter Ewuku.
Yes.
There's also Ernest Nkrumah Addo and Felix Kwachio Fosu, a former deputy minister. We are told they are taking home a quarterly salary of 18,000 cedis and an annual salary of 72,000 cedis. A driver at the office is taking home a quarterly salary of 5,100 cedis. That's quarterly and annual salary of 20,000. 3 months, yes. So for 3 months, 5,000 cedis and annual salary of 20,400 cedis.
But I have sources who are also indicating that apparently it's rather this one is going through some financial clearance at the ministry. So, maybe
they haven't cleared. They've actually not even received the money. Yes. And this is since leaving office.
Yeah.
I was just trying to pull my calculator to do the 56,511 divided by 3. It's just my bad thinking.
So that is it for that story. But Roland's favorite, the center spread.
What's that? Do we have anything on Shatawale?
Oh no, this time around on Pop Skinny and TikTok. This back and forth. Pop Skinny had said something about the rap guys not doing well, and he has resurrected. TikTok had replied.
I think Pop Skinny should also know that it's live. Sometimes things happen.
Well, it is, but the story here says that it's not necessary to reply. Pop Skinny is coming from TikTok. He says, I don't get why. Okay, so Pop Skinny actually
is he still called TikTok?
Okay, I recall he changed the name to Tick.
Yes, Brad Tick. Just call him Brad Tick. That's why I'm surprised there's TikTok in there.
So he's saying that those days that TikTok was loved and praised are long gone. And so who is TikTok to call him a snitch? In fact, he really doesn't know why he has time to talk about TikTok. And now TikTok is saying that he's not going to respond to Pop Skinny. So that is that story. You love TikTok, right?
I used to Philomena Kpetinga. I think we all were dancing to it. But you know, fame is transient. It doesn't last. So when you have it,
they'll tell you class is permanent.
You know, there's a preaching by Pastor Mensa Otabel, and it says that when you have your Joseph years, which is the time of bumper harvests, you have to think of the lean season. And it's something I always play all the time in my car. So I guess
look, for musicians, a lot of the time, the analysts will tell them that you should do music that lasts. At least, I mean, Amachi Day is not top there, but at least his music is still enjoyable.
The thing too for a part of the world is that compared to the others, they are paid royalties. So Michael Jackson is dead, but still gets royalties.
But even in this case,
royalties in excess of even people who are living today and have albums.
That's true. But we are not just talking about the financial gains. We are talking about the kind of respect that artist commands in terms of the music. I mean, I don't think the early 2000s can be compared to now when a TikTok music is playing on radio.
Of course.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so that is where people raise concern about the quality of the music.
There are actually also people who would even physically see you and not even recognize you.
Yeah, true, because the generation has passed.
Exactly.
Yeah, like me. A lot of people see me and they can't.
They know you, but Charlie, you don't tick like that. There are fresh boys and girls in the system. Who do you think you are?
Yeah, then it means that when I was on air, they were in primary school. So, Charlie.
They were in crèche. The primary school ones are still around. They identify.
Ghana will retire you early. You should know that.
Let's do the Ghanaian Times, Roland.
Okay, so let's do the Ghanaian Times, and we'll run through quickly because it looks like the salaries we're told bringing payroll costs in line with budget. No salaries for workers if payroll warrant exceed particular month. And this one is coming from the Controller and Accountant General, whose picture is on the front page, and the story is on page 17 really of the paper. It says starting August this year, the Controller and Accountant General Department will withhold funds for payment of MDAs whose payroll warrants for a particular month have been exceeded. Okay, so warrants are issued by the Ministry of Finance for payment of compensation of employees on monthly basis and requires the Accountant General Department to ensure that MDAs do not exceed the monthly warrants. So it means that...
I'm wondering how it even exceeds. How?
Yeah.
How does it exceed?
So I'm wondering. And what the thing is that
there are so many ghosts.
Yes, a particular month. You say I'm paying 30 people, and this is the amount.
How does it exceed?
And it's approved by the Finance Ministry, and so you have. They say go, take it, pay.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering how anybody could be brought in within the period after the approval.
You are
by the
looking at the
finance
physical. Look at the spiritual. Go beyond the physical.
Unless obviously you have some ghosts, the ghosts we've been talking about all the time, trying to exorcise them from the system.
You see,
you have some ghosts around.
yeah, we're good at exercising evils from our rooms, etc.
But we
when
have
go to
very
check-
limited time now.
Okay.
Benedict is
ready.
breathing
He's
on our neck like
itching.
we're in the studio, but he's on standby with sports, so we're just going to run.
Okay, so we have Parliament approves $1.3 billion for cocoa for purchase of cocoa beans, and we also have on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, Ghana Inshore Fisheries Association throws support behind ban on fishing. This is a controversial subject. It looks to be getting some mixed, I should say, buying from communities and fisher folk. In some love it, some don't like it. I guess that's how it's going to be. And forum on Ghana urban mobility held in Accra, Mamavi.
All right, so final paper that we're going to do before we go back to the studio to join Benedict is the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Front page of the Dispatch, Deputy Minister of Education clears the air. Oforiatta's views on free SHS, not government policy. BATS is inside the pages. You can look at the full story on the back page. Also on the front page, UTAC president warns of potential problems on university campuses. And then statement in Parliament on 6th anniversary of Eja Atta's death. All right, what JDM told Akufo-Addo about free SHS on February 24, 2018. The paper is recounting that. It's on page 11 in the paper this morning. All right, we can tell you what's going to happen later on this morning on our show, live from Parliament. We're just across the street from Parliament, so we have some members of Parliament pass through our show this morning. We'll engage some family members of the late former Vice President Pakwesi Bekwing Emisa Arthur, who's been laid in state. You can come by and pay your last respects. It's from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. today. And then there will be the final burial service tomorrow, also at the Accra International Conference Center and the State House. Is there a court just before we go?
Yes, the law school entrance examination that was supposed to take place tomorrow. The injunction is being heard today, so the court will obviously have to give its ruling whether the exam should take place tomorrow or not. Yes, Professor Kukwasari.
Okay, all right. That's the only?
Yeah, that's the only issue now.
Okay, all right. So Roland, we're back after sports.
Yeah, we're back after sports again. Please, we'll go back to the studio. Benedict also is here with the latest of the sports roundup.